Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, the special sessions are rolling on. We're joined by Warren Hardy, Helen Foley, and Mike Draper discussing the issues on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot hardware store and a whole lot more. It's your spring headquarters with lawn and garden supplies, power equipment, and outdoor living. Big R on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. Big R, hardware and a whole lot more.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're recording this program on the morning of June 7th, which is the morning after the first special session of the Nevada Legislature, with likely more special sessions to come. We have a great lineup here. Former State Senator Warren Hardy is here, principal with the Hardy Consulting Group. Former State Senator Helen Foley is here, president with Foley Public Affairs. And Mike Draper, partner with Argentum Partners. You got to run for office, buddy. Let's start out with you, Helen. What were your thoughts on the first special session last night?
Well, I think it was about as exciting as watching paint dry. It was just dreadful. I think it was the worst show I've ever seen on the internet. But we got the job done now so that the capital improvements program's budget is completed. And they needed one more vote because in the Senate, in order to get a 2/3 vote, you have to have one Republican vote with you. And Scott Hammond, who is termed out, so he can't run again, was the sacrificial lamb that came forward. It's ironic because they were fighting over school choice, and I know that he's been very involved in charter school issues and a big advocate for many years. But I think that he did what the governor wanted him to do, and to be able to shut down the session so that we could move forward with state funding.
Warren, your thoughts?
Yeah, I told a couple of people it sort of looked like this was shaping up to be 2003 again, but of course it ended up ending. Yeah, no, I've been in those situations, 03, 09. I know Helen has before as well. When we in 03 when we finally got John Marvel to break with the pack and vote to move things forward. But, look, that capital improvement project, those are never perfect. The budget's not perfect. But, as I'm fond of saying in this business, we can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And there were things in there that were important and needed to happen. And there was a lot of bipartisanship in building the budget. So I was glad to see it end the way it did.
Mike, do you feel there was a lot of bipartisanship in building the budget?
I think there was as much as can be expected in this environment. I think that both sides.
What does that mean?
I think we've just when I started, which was after our former senators and guests there were Nevada Republicans and Nevada Democrats, and national politics didn't play into state politics the way that they have over the last several years. And I think that right now the country is so divided. I think that saw a lot of division in our legislature, and not necessarily with legislators, but certainly more and more from their bases. And so there's no incentive for our legislators to compromise and have broad discussions. And so I think we saw as much as that as we could see and expect to see, and certainly both sides got wins. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in campaigns. I think Helen touched on school choice and opportunity scholarships, and that's why we needed to have that special session last night. I think that that's certainly going to factor into campaigns. It's a program that's very popular with Nevadans. And the fact that that didn't get addressed, I think, is something that will be interesting to see how it plays out over the next year and a half.
You know, one of the ways that I saw this play out where national politics were invading Nevada, Helen, was in discussions with Democratic leadership over the popular vote versus the Electoral College. It seemed like on the Democratic side, there was no interest in the fact that Nevada would lose all of its power and that presidential candidates would stop coming here, the amount of advertising revenue for TV stations would dive dramatically, and nobody seemed to care. It was everybody was saying the same line. Well, it's important that my vote counts. Well, your vote counts, period. Or am I wrong?
Because of Harry Reid, we have taken a heightened position now in the primary elections, and that's been fabulous for us, and certainly for our egos and getting different candidates here. However, it's very frustrating that when you see on a national vote level that Hillary Clinton won, and even Al Gore won, and certainly you should have whoever gets the most votes be the person that wins nationally. But because of state by state rules, it doesn't always happen that way. And I think that there's a real distrust with politics because it doesn't matter who got the most votes. It matters by each state how you win. So it's a frustrating thing. And I understand that TV stations and everyone else that's in the PR industry and advertising industry really loves having all of these campaigns be on air. But I like the idea that whoever wins the most votes nationally should be the president of the United States.
Okay, but don't you think then that, it's been said by so many people that then all the power goes to the big states like California, New York, Florida, etc. Nevada would no longer have a national voice?
Well, we still have primaries. And that's where our big national voice is. In the end, our small number of electoral votes has seemed to matter the last few years. But I would much rather have whoever gets the most votes nationally should be the president.
Warren, you agree on that?
Sam, I love Helen Foley with all my heart, and I disagree with everything she just said. So no, I don't agree with that. I think the founding fathers set up a process to try to protect the votes of the minority, and you laid it out perfectly. If that happens, nobody really matters in the process except New York, California, maybe Texas, Florida. The rest of us might as well not even participate in the process. So that's a partisan thing. I certainly understand why the Democrats like it. Because those areas are so big, they drive a lot of the national vote. But no, I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I would argue it's not broke.
Mike, you get the last word on this one.
I think I'm going to upset both of my more veteran colleagues. Sam, I'm a big proponent of, we've talked about it in the past, a big proponent of question 3 and open primaries and ranked choice voting. I still think our current system is antiquated. I think that we see that in the number of people that turn out to vote. I think we see that more and more, that people are frustrated. They're frustrated, they feel like their vote doesn't matter. They're frustrated in the limited candidates they get to choose from. And I think we have to address our voting system and make it something that's more accessible that can make voters enthusiastic and make it an easier process for them to participate in. So I think I'm going to go right in between them and say that I just think the system is set up in such a way that most people are disenfranchised.
And Sam, I would say I agree with Mike on that. The question was about eliminating the Electoral College, but I agree with everything Mike just said. We've got to do something that we can get back to a place where we have a moderate candidate, a middle of the road candidate who's willing to compromise, which is another brilliant thing the founders set up, is that compromise is necessary to success. So I agree with Mike on that part of it, but I disagree with Helen in terms of eliminating the Electoral College.
Okay,
Well,
Helen,
and,
you get
you
the
know,
last
gentlemen,
30 seconds. Okay.
I'll tell you one thing. The nonpartisans are going to be the number one party in the state in very short order. People are frustrated with the D's and the R's, and so they're registering nonpartisan. They should have choices, and people should be able to elect and not be shut out of a process.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with this great panel after this timeout.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
The casino industry drove Nevada's economy for decades. By the 1990s, however, the state's sole industry was in sharp decline. Many were losing their homes, many were leaving the state. Is Reno on track to be the Detroit of the West? Was an October 2010 Reno Gazette-Journal headline. Nevada knew it was time for a change and a time to diversify. Story County took that lead, took risks, invested tens of millions transforming its desert into a place of opportunity and a future for Nevada families needing something new. That desert now provides thousands of high-paying tech, advanced manufacturing, and energy careers at companies like Tesla, Panasonic, Google, Switch, and Redwood Materials. Story County transformed Northern Nevada forever, and the tide of opportunity has raised all vessels through construction contracts, high-paying careers, and the power of payroll. Tens of millions have been generated in sales and property tax, permits, and other revenues for Reno, Sparks, Washoe County, and for all of Nevada. Enough, in fact, to generate a surplus after public services are provided. And best of all, a sustainable economic climate has been created, enabling our children to stay in Nevada and live prosperous lives in their home state. Story County, improving Northern Nevada one industry at a time.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Warren Hardy, Helen Foley, and Mike Draper. And just again, for a point of information, we're taping this on the morning of June 7th, which is the morning after the first special session. Helen, another special session, I'm presuming, is going to come for the A Stadium.
Yes, I mean, they have the votes, obviously. Otherwise, I doubt that they would have a special session. But there are some people, especially the progressives in the assembly, that are not too pleased about it.
Are the far-right conservatives also not pleased about it?
Quite possibly.
Okay.
I think there's enough votes to pass it. You know, they got down to the 380 million, which used to seem like a lot of money to me, but compared to some of these other things that are happening, it could be reasonable. But I love the idea that we're going to have a Major League Baseball team in Nevada. I'm sorry that the Oakland A's have been, have such a dreadful record, but maybe we'll inspire them to get better. Maybe, let's see. But I anticipate that it will pass.
Warren?
Yeah, no, I think there's the far left and the far right. There's folks that aren't going to vote for it, aren't going to support it. I think that's largely the reason the package is set up to not require a 2/3 majority, because I don't think they could get to a 2/3 majority. But I remember, I think it was on your show, Sam, when we talked about Allegiant Stadium, and I said I don't see how we as Nevadans can look ourselves in the mirror with a straight face and claim we're the entertainment capital of the world without a venue like that. And I think to some degree that applies here as well. Anytime you have a chance to get a Major League Baseball team, you got to do it. The peripheral benefit, I mean, no one will argue that the Allegiant Stadium hasn't been a phenomenal success. And so it's going to be a smaller scale, obviously, for baseball, but pro franchises looking at your city and your state, never a negative. I'm a big fan.
Mike, one of the interesting things, I think it was in the Nevada Independent, was somebody writing and saying that we'd be better off with just having a brand new hotel casino on that site instead of having the A's there. And I thought to myself, well, that's kind of interesting. It's just somebody's going to put up $3 or $4 billion just because.
Yeah, I think I would disagree with that opinion. We have a lot of great resorts. More the resorts either reinvent themselves, remodel, and reinvest into their own properties, and there's a lot of opportunity for that. I don't know that it needs to be one or the other. Like Warren said, we have the opportunity to have a venue that we don't have, to bring another sports team to our state. We've shown that sports in Las Vegas does very well, and I think most importantly, the deal is structured in a way, there's been a lot of time and effort put into it to make sure that the state and the county, that we've minimized the risk to the state and county, and at the end of the day, we end up with an asset for the state that hopefully we can do many things with, and not just baseball. I think that's one of the big successes and keys of Allegiant Stadium, is that it's brought so many things. I'm going down next week to watch United States soccer. It's brought so many opportunities to Las Vegas. I think that a baseball stadium will do the exact same thing. I mean, you could imagine seeing Monster Jam, the monster trucks at a baseball stadium, or maybe NFR or things like that. So I think to have that kind of venue there, coupled with all of the resorts on the Strip and that kind of thing is great. I think the location is something that I hope really gets looked at. I think that site's a great site, but the north end of the Strip, as you and I have discussed many times, there's been a lot of money reinvested into the north end of the Strip, and I think to have a venue of that kind anchoring that end of the Strip could be really exciting. But regardless, I think to have an asset of that nature, something that we don't have at all, is a great opportunity for us.
Helen, one of the other issues that's likely to result in a special session is the movie studio deal. Your thoughts on that and whether it's going to succeed?
Well, certainly it's not going to come up this time of year. It might towards the end of the year or next year. As you know, I've been representing Jeremy Renner, and one of the most important things that we wanted was to make sure that Northern Nevada was included in any kind of bill that passed. That issue had been worked on for 2 years and then was introduced the last couple of weeks of the session. And so there's a lot of work that Jeremy has to do, but he's working hand in hand with President Sandoval from the University of Nevada, Reno, and working with a developer. Now they'll need to do their economic analysis on how it would come together. But I've got real high hopes for that. I know that Howard Hughes and Sony is still very, very interested. So I would see a bill that looks different from what we just saw, but something coming forward maybe during a special session.
Okay, but likely not for months, if not a year.
I don't know when that could be. But I know that in speaking to the governor just the other day, he said when there is a bill that he wants to make sure that Washoe County, or at least the rest of the state, has an opportunity to participate.
Okay, Warren, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think we have a model for the ballpark. I mean, Allegiant Stadium, it's a matter of just sort of cutting and pasting and making some adjustments. We didn't get close to vetting the film tax credit. I mean, that's something that's somewhat new, not just the film tax credit, but the incentives that were going to be offered to Sony and Berkshire. So I really think the prudent thing to do is take a deep breath. there's not the sense of urgency there. Like on the ballpark stadium, we're competing against other cities. That's not the case here. I know there's some conversation about if we can't get Vegas done, we'll go to Georgia. But nobody on that side, I think, is putting a time limit on. And so I think it's exceptionally important that the legislature takes the time to get that policy right, to fully vet it. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see a special session this fall if they're able to work out the issues. But I think it's the absolute prudent thing to do on behalf of a part of the governor and the legislative leadership to put a pin in that for now.
You know, one of the things, Mike, that has struck me is that so many people don't really seem to understand that with economic development, if you want corporations to come to Nevada, you have to offer them something because everybody else is. You can't just say, hey, Nevada's great, we're booming, and you know, if you want to come, fine. If you don't. If you're not offering incentives to the likes of Tesla and Sony and others, we're not going to get this business, are we?
No, I think unequivocally no, and I think that's how the business world works, period, right? Is you have to invest, and everybody has to be willing to invest to reap the benefits. It's not that just because we have space or a friendly tax environment that big business is going to move here and then we get all the benefit. We're going to have to invest. We've been very successful with that. You know, TRI has been very successful. Allegiant's been successful, and these projects are very successful. We've put guardrails in place to make sure that these are safe investments for the state. I think that's one of the things with the film tax credit is I think that there's a lot of people that aren't convinced that it's a safe investment. I do think that we've seen this is a real opportunity. Sony has expressed they want to be here. Jeremy Renner has expressed that there's other major movie studios and production studios that want to be here. I think we have an opportunity to build a whole new industry in this state. But I do think that it really needs to be vetted. And I think that we can look at what other states, Georgia and New Mexico and some of these other places where there's a lot of film and television being produced, and I think we can take their model and do it better. That's what we do. So I think that anything working hand in hand, GoEd was such a great creation that I think working with GoEd and using GoEd as a leadership on how to do some of these things and put that structure in place to where we are making safe investments is critical, and I think that's where, you know, I think we should pursue the film tax credits. I just think, like Warren and Helen said, that there might be some more vetting that needs to happen, but there's certainly a real opportunity, and yes, we need to invest in order to see a return on investment.
All right, let's take another break, and we'll be right back.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Hi, I'm Renee Summer, our digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Mike Draper, Helen Foley, and Warren Hardy. I made the mistake in the last program of asking for winners and losers, and of course, with 3 people in the lobbying business, they're not going to talk about losers. But Helen, who are the winners in this session so far?
Oh my goodness. I haven't even had time to decompress to realize that. I think if the A's get their program on, that they would be the winners.
Okay, Warren?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think that, it was a pretty standard session. I mean, this is my 16th session. This is pretty standard, but I agree. I think a lot of us are surprised that the A's actually surfaced. So we'll see what happens today. But if they get it done, they're a clear winner in this. And I think the state is too. If we're able to get it done, there's winners all around.
And the A's need all the victories they can get right now.
Mike, yes, they do. I'm surprised that none of the three of you mentioned leadership in the state, either in the legislature or in the governor's office.
Oh, I think the governor's a winner. I think that the governor has shown that there's no motion without strategy or without progress. And the governor has had a plan in place. I think he's put a staff around him that's very good, and I think the governor laid the groundwork for the next 2 years and 4 years. So I think the governor probably was the biggest winner, although maybe all of those results aren't seen on paper.
Helen, quick answer on that?
Well, I wanted to say that the one word that I kept hearing all session was, we need to have a conversation. They kept talking about conversations. So I think there are many issues that need further discussion. And so hopefully we'll do that during the interim.
And that's where we have to leave it. Thank you all so much. And I know how exhausted all of you are at the end of this session, and it's still going. But thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Sam.
We'll be right back.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low, and our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way, because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can catch us online 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com, or you can download the podcast wherever you like to get your podcast. We'll see you on the next broadcast.